Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to New York Islanders franchise mode here in NHL 25. So in last episode, if you did not catch it, we had the draft and re-sign stage, and we're up here in free agency, kind of without a direction of what we want to do in terms of bringing in players and getting rid of some. So I'm not really too sure what this team's going to look like still at the start of the year. However, we should still have a pretty solid roster, but definitely our team has seen better days because you can see a lot of our veteran type of players like Makinen, for instance, is dropping off. Crane's dropping off. Houghton's dropping off. So that's not super ideal, but we should still have a strong enough team that we are good next season. But obviously at the moment, we do have a lot of RFAs that still need to accept contracts and all that. So it's not a lot of cap space to have, really, but hopefully we could get pretty much like Holmstrom at least back and Dempsey. I am still thinking about potentially moving on from Popov and Lindsay because both these guys won't be getting a lot of ice time. So I'm going to see what maybe I could get potentially for both those guys, see if there's potentially like a top six forward that we could bring in to help us with goal scoring because obviously we lost Belchet's to retirement. So we probably still need a goal scorer, but we could always address that at the trade deadline instead. So we definitely will maybe try to look to trade away those two guys, though, just because it is going to be hard to get them ice time. I mean, we could probably still play Lindsay on the top six pairing with Savage, so it might not be a bad idea to bring him back. So maybe we will still hold on to him, but if there's a good offer out there, maybe I could get rid of him. And then for Popov, like I was saying, Popov is an interesting one because he was a pretty solid rookie this year. But if you look at like our forward depth chart at the moment, there's going to be some guys that are going to be cracking the NHL potentially this season, like Schroeder, who could knock him out, as well as guys like Dave Roche could potentially drop him out. Terry could drop him out. Ramjit Singh might even get some growth and be a depth forward. So I think it makes sense for us to potentially move on from Popov as a player, so we might look to trade him in this episode if there's a good return. If not, we could always wait till the start of the season to trade him away before the season actually starts itself. So going to be interesting to see what we're looking like at the start of the year. We also do have both of our goalies currently RFAs as well, so we could probably throw in maybe Komatov into a deal or something like that as well if we wanted to get a lot of value for them. I don't know if there would be a ton of value since they're all RFAs, but if we get rid of Komatov, we would probably need to sign ourselves a backup. So yeah, we have a lot of RFAs to deal with, and we might end up trading away some just because obviously $21 million in cap space to sign 6 RFAs is probably not really enough. It might be enough, but it might be like very close on the salary cap, especially with guys like Holmstrom being there. So we'll see what we're able to do this offseason. But anyways, before we get into doing some off-season adjustments, let's get in your guys' comments, see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we will get into probably looking for some potential ideas to see what we could have our team looking like for next season. And then we'll obviously get into the start of next season probably already in this episode, unless it takes a long time to make a bunch of trades and all that. So the first and only comment is from Sarataku. It says, you could build an entire second team out of former players. I honestly don't know what you do in terms of finding another goal scorer in trade or free agency. And yeah, that is true. I don't know what we could really do about that. And then, yeah, technically we can make a second team out of the available free agents almost of former players, which is insane because we were looking at the free agency portion of this in the last episode, of course. And there is a ton of guys that used to play on our team if we go just UFAs. You can see Ericsson's there, for instance. You go down, there's Leg, there's Novoseltsev, there's Erzberg. There's Lindros, there's Nielikainen. Like, it's actually insane. There's Sierra, there is not our Haken, that was a different Haken, I think. But it's just insane. And then also, I think, yeah, this is our former Jaskalainen, right? Yeah, former Jaskalainen, Kasivi. Like, we could definitely build up an entire team of former players, which is insane. Korolyuk. So, and then also Savage, I guess, for that matter, if we're naming them all out. But it's kind of insane how many former players are in free agency. So it'll be interesting to kind of see where all those guys go and their rest of their career, because we probably won't bring any of them back likely just because it's not really what I'm looking to get. But I don't think there's anybody even really worth signing in this free agency portion in terms of snipers and stuff like that. Like, technically, Leg could be a good goal scorer if we wanted to bring him back, but his cap hit, I feel like, is too high, $10 million, especially with all the RFAs we currently have. He's a good player. He can score goals, but I just don't think he's not going to do that well this season. And I think he's going to probably start to drop off soon. Wasn't a playoff performer for Pittsburgh last year either. So I think the best bet is probably to look for players that are not in the free agency portion of this. So I don't really know exactly what we're going to do, but let's go to, I guess, find trade and just put the 3 RFAs that we were thinking at least about trading in this deal and see what maybe we could get for the 3 of them. So if we add like Lindsay, for instance, who doesn't actually have too much value, if we add him to this trade, if we add Komatov, for instance, just because we do need to maybe get a new backup goalie, because I feel like it's too much goalies, or too good of goalies, I should say, on our NHL team at the moment. And then if we get rid of the other player, which was Popov, would this be able to get us anything? If I go find trade on an open block, nothing's found, which is not great. So, yeah, I don't really know if we're going to be able to trade all 3 of those guys' rights in the same deal. And if there's anybody even worth trading for at the moment, like we might actually have to wait till the start of the season. But we probably want to move out from Popov's contract already. I think we could probably hold on to Lindsay as a top 6 defenseman. Komatov as a backup is kind of an interesting one because I feel like he's probably too good to be a backup. So we could always flip him potentially too. But if we go down here, Popov doesn't have a ton of value. The Ducks want him. Let me go to the goalies, for instance, see Komatov. Ducks want him too. So there is a lot of teams that want both these guys. Yeah, actually a couple teams only, I guess, for that matter. Some teams want only one of them. There's only a few teams that only want actually both of them. San Jose wants both of them, which San Jose is a pretty bad team right now, but I don't think they have any guys that would be worth bringing in as like a sniper for the top 6, at least for like 1 year only. Like, they're a very low-end team right now. Like, their best left winger is our former player in Bigris, of course. We don't really need centers. They don't really have anything in terms of, like, high-end players. Like, they have pretty bad depth. So, I don't think we could really make a move with them for both these guys. Let's see. The only other team that had interest in both was, like, Anaheim and Boston. So Anaheim, if we wanted to send him to Anaheim, does Anaheim have anything that would really fit our need? Let's see. I mean, there is Jar, who's 24, 86 overall, minimally with 1 year left. Is he a sniper, out of curiosity? Because I don't think I know Jar too well. He is a sniper. This guy's a good player, but I feel like Anaheim should probably be still building around him, just because he's only 24 years old. The next best player after that is Sure, who's a center. So the only one interesting there would be Jar, but I don't think they would really get rid of this guy. He is going to need more money at the end of the season, and he's a pending RFA, so they probably would still hold on to him. He has been getting better every single season. He is a good goal scorer, but I don't think from a realistic standpoint that Anaheim would want to get rid of him. At least that's my guess personally. If we head to Boston, do they have anybody? Sanders, who has 1 year left at $14 million. Wasn't Sanders actually a sniper too? He's a power forward, has good shooting, has goal scoring abilities. He's a pretty solid player, but doesn't score as much as I was hoping for. But yeah, he would be also too costly with his contract. We'd have to get them to retain, likely, to bring in Sanders. There's also Janes behind him, but he's signed for multiple years. Yeah, the only one that would really make sense is Sanders, and we'd have to get like him on 50% retained, likely. So we'd have to go like this, and even on 50% retained, I think he'd still be like making $7 million, which is a lot of money, especially with the cap space we have left. Like, if we go 50% retained, how much money would this cost? Let's see, let's go all the way to the end. Holy crap, this takes actually longer than I thought. Okay, so yeah, he would be basically costing us only $7.235 for the year, which would knock us down to hypothetically like $14 million to re-sign, basically, for our RFAs. Holmstrom, also Nicholas, and then also Dempsey. I mean, that's not too bad, but I feel like Holmstrom and Nicholas will both cost us a good chunk. Dempsey probably won't cost us too much. Trying to think if this is actually a good idea to try and trade for somebody like Sanders. Or is he just going to be one of these guys that come in and don't do well? He was a Jet just like Belchet's at one point. Had a really good playoffs, looks like, back in 2036. And then obviously has been a consistent goal scorer, but also more of a hybrid production player. 81 points 2 years ago. Trying to think if this is a good move for our team to make already. Because he is 31 years old. He's not really on the drop-off yet because he does still have exact elite potential, but he'd be probably purely a rental. And we'd have to sign ourselves a new backup goaltender as well, I guess, if we got rid of Komatov. But we could definitely find somebody cheap on the free agent market for this. Interesting. I don't think they would want to retain, really. Also, Sanders does have more value than these two guys, so we'd probably have to add more into this type of deal. Like, what else do they have interest in? They have interest in some draft picks, which is good. They do have interest in some of these goalies that we might not develop perfectly, like Over or Bergenheim. What do we want to do here? We do have like 3 AHL goalies, hypothetically. So if I got rid of Barkov in that deal, it wouldn't be bad, but he doesn't have a lot of value. For other skaters, there is a lot of our unsigned prospects, like Ekblad, who's not going to really pan out, probably, at this point. They don't have interest in a lot of other guys, though. Trying to think if I want to make a deal with them. Because we could probably throw in like a 3rd round pick on top of this and get it done, maybe. But is it worth the money that he's going to cost us? I feel like Popov and Komatov would cost us right around the same in cap hit, maybe like $4 million. They would probably cost us $3 million less than Sanders, bringing him in for the 1 year. I don't know if it's worth it, to be honest. It makes us pretty tight in cap space. But we do need to find a way to trade Popov regardless, though. And Komatov probably, too. I think I'm going to take note of this trade, and we're going to go back to the free agent portion of this and see if there's a good backup goalie to sign, or maybe we hold on to Komatov instead this year. I'm not too sure, but we need to think of some sort of out-of-the-box kind of deal this year. So if I open up Notepad, let me just make sure I write down this trade. So Popov, Komatov, and 3rd rounder to Boston for Sanders. T. Sanders. Let's write that down just in case. Because it could be an option, but I feel like it's a bit expensive, though, even if he's 50% retained. Like, if that contract was way less, I'd be easily able to do something like that, but I just don't want to make sure we spend too much money. Like, we could revisit that deal after we get a couple of the RFAs signed, like, once we get Nicholas and Holmstrom signed up, then maybe we could revisit that and see if we have the cap space available for it. Might not be a bad idea. But if we go to free agents here, is there a backup goaltender that we'd be willing to sign that's dirt cheap, and then we could trade away Komatov? Let's see. We don't want somebody too high end. We don't want somebody too low end either. Is there like a goalie that simulates good that's a low overall? Tiny Kristanovich is pretty bad, to be honest. Is there anybody actually listed as like a backup? Oh, okay, all these guys are backups. There is Solovyov. We could bring back our goalie in Alexander Solovyov, like I was mentioning in the last episode. I kind of wouldn't mind having him back, to be honest, just so he could retire as an Islander. And since he's actually listed as a backup, that's not a bad idea. How much money did he want? $2 million, though. Trying to think. Because it would be cheaper than probably what Komatov ends up getting paid. If we go 1 year deal for Solovyov instead of a 2 year deal, he does still want over $2 million. I don't really want to go too long term with him, though, because he's probably going to drop off a lot, but then I'd have to pay him more money. But he does have the organizational interest, so I actually might be able to drop this down a bit. So if I give him just over $2 million to be the backup for 2 years, that's not too bad. But then if I go 1 year, it drops off a lot. Maybe I could drop this down to $2 million on the dot. You know what? I think I might bring back Solovyov as the backup, and then that's why we could get rid of Komatov. So I think we are going to maybe think about doing that other trade. Because I don't think I could really afford to bring Komatov back at his asking price if it's too high. What was his asking price, speaking of which? Because I don't remember. Oh man, there's so many things we need to take a look at just before we decide to make a trade or not. Like I said, we could always wait a few days too to make this trade, so we aren't in a huge rush. But let's see. Komatov right now, what was he asking for? 4.725, so it's like double basically what Solovyov's asking for. The only thing is, if we want to sign Solovyov, we probably have to trade Komatov as soon as possible, basically. Yeah, I think we might honestly do that trade, potentially, but I need to find out first if these other RFAs would accept. Basically, they might actually take a long-ass time to accept, so we'd probably have to sign Solovyov right now, basically. Nicholas is going to try and get like 7.8, which is a lot of money, so he's probably only going to go down to like $6 million bucks, I think. I don't remember how much he was making last year. Does it still say, or potentially? No, it doesn't say how much he was making. So yeah, he's going to cost us like probably $6 million. We look at our other RFAs here. Holmstrom's going to cost us quite a bit too. And then Dempsey won't cost us too much. Like, I think I'm going to guess like a total of 6 for Nicholas. Holmstrom probably like 9. So you're looking at 15. And then Dempsey would cost us like 1.5 or something. So I'm saying like $16.5 million for those 3 guys alone. Lindsay would cost us a good chunk though too. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know if we'll have the money to bring in somebody like Sanders after these RFAs. I don't think so, at least. So, I don't think I could trade for Sanders. But we do need to find a way to still move on from Komatov and Popov. So, we're going to go back to proposed trade, and we're going to look into some other deals for them. We're going to probably have to individually trade them instead of trade them together. Sanders looks like a nice piece, but his cap is way too high, so maybe I could trade both of them still to the same team, but one of them won't have interest in one player. So if we do Komatov again and we do Popov again, let's just see what other teams are interested in one or the other. So Calgary, for instance, is interested in Popov. They did just win the Stanley Cup recently, so against us. So I probably don't want to trade with them. Don't want to make them better. Colorado does have interest in Komatov, but not Popov. So, dude, they have somebody interesting for a sniper, potentially. Not really, I don't think. At least on the left wing side of things. Let's just go forwards. They do have some younger pieces, but obviously they won't trade those away right now. There's an 80 overall 25. We don't need another guy named Dempsey. Yeah, there's not really anybody there in Colorado. Columbus has interest just in Popov. Columbus has been a team we've played a lot in the playoffs. The only guy really on 1 year left that is good is Graining. He's not huge. Dallas has interest in Popov. Their best player is an 85 overall on offense. God damn, that's pretty low. He's only signed for 1 year, but he's a center. We don't really need centers. Scrivens is a 28-year-old left winger that's 85, only making $3 million. And is a sniper with 4.5-star shooting. Alright, that's maybe a bit more feasible. He was a Flame before. I do remember him when he was a Flame. Signed 1 year in Dallas, had an 18-goal season. He's not a crazy goal scorer, but he's not making a lot of money. If he gets a lot more ice time, he could be good, maybe. And does fit all forward lines, too, which is kind of nice. Like, he would definitely be able to be brought in probably for both these guys or one of these guys only. So I am going to write this down as a player to look into, maybe more. Left wing, Scrivens, and Dallas. Just make sure I have notes on these guys, so that way we could come back to them a little bit easier. Let's go to Detroit. Popov is apparently able to go there too. Their best player on offense is an 83. Goddamn. There's some teams with some really low-end talent on them. If you could even call it talent. Like, literally this guy's as good as a third liner on our team probably, so that's kind of nuts. Edmonton has interest also in Popov. Let's see. Damn, Armsen just signed an 8-year deal recently, I guess. Here, I'll hide some stuff so you guys could see a little bit more on the contracts and stuff on these guys. There's not really anybody on a 1-year deal that's worth probably trading for, so Edmonton's probably not a good one. The LA Kings obviously has won Stanley Cups recently, got to the conference finals again, so I don't think they'd want to part ways with a big name player. Savage is making way too much money at this point. He is signed for only 1 more year though. But he's got good shooting too, but I don't think he'd be worth it. Minnesota has interest in Popov. They do have this Jaskalainen guy, but he's signed for 4 years. Nobody really good on a 1-year deal. As I prefer a rental if possible. The Montreal Canadiens do have Eli Anthony, but he's signed for 3 more years still, so he's going to probably retire a Hab. Nashville has interested in Komatov. They have Foy signed for 2 years, same with all their other high-end talent. Damn, if Bjorkstrand and all that were like not on clauses and all that in pending free agents, that would be kind of nice. But Conklin's only signed for 1 year as an 88. He is also only 22 though, so they'd probably want to hold on to him. Yeah, I don't think there'd be anybody they'd worth trading here. There is also Murray as that third-line center option that I was saying. Maybe we need a third-line center again. I think that's fine. New Jersey? What about you? There's Bouwmeester, 89 at 26, signed for 7 years. Goddamn. No thanks. The New York Rangers don't have interest in anybody. The Sens, do they have anybody? Sugihara, signed for 2 years. Kaminsky used to play with us already. There's not really a lot of good players out there, to be honest. Philadelphia with Odeline, signed for 2 years. Kind of unfortunate that's not a 1-year deal. Because it's going to be really impossible to get DI to like retain salary on some people. So Pittsburgh has been a good playoff team recently. Their only 1-year guys are like Dano and below. San Jose has interest in both. We've already looked at them. Seattle has interest in Popov. Their only 1-year contract is Tamara, who's not much of anything. St. Louis. Yeah, I think we might already have our idea, which is maybe trading with the Dallas Stars for Scrivens. Unless somebody interesting comes along here, which right now I'm not seeing too much. Tampa, interest in Popov as well. Fragapane signed for a lot of money and a lot of term. No thank you. Antropov with 1 year left is an 84 at 30. He's a two-way. That's not really what we're looking for. We're looking for a goal scorer preferably, so... And then no other team, except for Washington and maybe Winnipeg. Let's see. Washington, 1 year left. Oh, yeah, there was Harris I was mentioning about. I forgot about that. Him on retained would be like still a $7 million contract, which is still a bit too pricey. He would be a really good player. He wouldn't even come here, though, remember? So, unfortunately, Harris won't fit that bill. Gunderson on 1 year left. He is a power forward, so he is a good, solid goal scorer, but... hasn't scored a ton in the NHL as much as you would expect being a power forward. So, yeah, he doesn't really make sense to me either. All right. What about Winnipeg, since they have interest in Popov? We've made deals with Winnipeg before. There is Little, who's only signed for 1 more year. He is a playmaker, though. Leeson, who used to play with us, is there as well. I think the best option in terms of upgrading our goal scoring ability, if we wanted to bring in somebody... for basically Popov and Komatov, would be Scrivens in Dallas. Is it going to be a huge upgrade? I have no idea, but it shouldn't cost us too much. And it's only for 1 year too, so it's a kind of little trial run. The contract value, or the trade value, is actually relatively close. I don't know if they'd want to have Komatov in the organization. It doesn't say they're interested in him, but they do like Popov. So, I don't know if this would go through, but I could always try it. Let me just look a little bit more into Scrivens and see what if I like him a lot. 85, top 6 guy, which is nice. Good shooting categories, solid offensive awareness. He's not the oldest guy in the book either, was a top 5 pick, so he must have had elite potential at one point. Does fit all of our forward lines and penalty kill lines, which is nice. On a very solid little contract for an 85 as well. I think we got to do this deal. I don't really know if I like moving Komatov in a deal like this necessarily, because I feel like he's still pretty valuable. But we don't need Popov or Komatov really, because I feel like if we kept Komatov for the upcoming season, him and Nicholas are both already starting kind of goalies, so it's better to have a starter and a backup. So Komatov, pretty much, we don't really need him anymore. And Popov, like I said, he's going to get a lower ice time than he deserves. There's other guys competing for roster spots like Trotter and all that. So I think I'm going to part ways with Popov and Komatov and bring in Scrivens to see if he could be that guy that basically Belchets was for us last year. Like, I think if we put him in the top 6, I think he should produce. Because if we look at his stats, again, 47 points last year in Dallas with only 18 goals. Well, 11 of them were on the power play, so it's a little bit risky. But he was only getting like 16 minutes a game. So he might have been in their top 6, but it's tough to say. Before then, though, he was more utilized as like a third-line guy on some teams. So if he's getting a huge elevated role with us, he's getting maybe some power play time as well. I definitely could see him doing decently. Hasn't played in the playoffs in a few years either. So, you know what? We're going to just do this deal. I think it's the only deal we can make. Obviously, there's other options for trades down the road, like at the deadline and stuff, but we need to free up these roster spaces anyways. So we're just going to make this deal and see if it's good. If it doesn't work out well for us, we could always try and upgrade more so at the trade deadline. So Komatov and Popov to Dallas for Scrivens. Will this work? And it is rejected. Okay, what else do you want? I don't want to give up too much more than this. Would you take a 4th round pick or a 3rd round pick on top of this? Because I don't need that 4th rounder. And that's still rejected. What if I gave you my 3rd rounder? Because I do not need my 3rd round pick. I don't care too much about the draft at this point. That's still rejected. Damn. I am actually kind of surprised that they aren't willing to do with that 3rd rounder. I mean, I could give up a 3rd for next year as well. So we could do 2 3rd round picks. I feel like that's a lot of value to give up. Maybe I'll just safety net this by saying, hey, I'll take your 4th for this year. So we move back in a draft, but they get an extra 3rd on top of it. Will this work? And that's still rejected. What if I take away the 4th round pick? That's still rejected. Damn, they really want that 2nd rounder, I guess. I mean, I guess I could give you a 2nd rounder, but it is a bit more of a risk. But like I said, I don't need Popov and Komatov. We're trying to make this deal happen just because I don't know if I'd have the cap space to re-sign these guys. Scrivens will free us up a lot of cap space too, potentially, to bring in more stuff down the road. So will this work? And that is rejected again. Come on, Dallas, work with me. I gave you Anton Frondell a few years ago. You got to make this deal work. What if I gave you the 3rd rounder for the upcoming draft as well? So a 2nd and a 3rd, Popov and Komatov. You have the cap space to re-sign these guys too, or you could flip them away. Do whatever you want with them, Dallas. Boom. And they still don't like it. So you're trying to really get 2 2nd round picks out of me out of this deal? Because that's pretty insane, in my opinion. 2 2nd rounders, Popov and Komatov. Like, Scrivens isn't that good. But, I mean, this is basically our best shot right now. And I don't really care about what I'm giving up, to be honest. Boom. Still rejected. They really want a 1st round pick or some shit? I can't give you a 1st round pick. What else do you have interest in? I'm trying to see. Is there anybody I would not want still? Olver's only a 64 at 19. We could just throw in a random elite goalie prospect just to get them to stop talking, but who's not going to pan out of the prospects that they actually want? They do want Card. He's a 67 at 21. I'd hate to trade this guy because he almost has one of my brother's names, which is kind of funny, but let's add Card to this deal. I don't need Card. He's a good player, good prospect. He has potential, but he's not going to probably develop. Let's add Card to this deal, and let's just get this done with. Come on there, Dallas. You're literally trying to fleece me. I'm literally giving you some young players to help with your stuff. Who else is somebody that I might not use? Oh, yeah, there's Rodney, too, though. 66 at 20. He's probably not going to pan out as an elite defenseman. I mean, that could look like a complete risk, just giving up a random elite defenseman in Rodney, but to be honest, do you think, guys, this guy's going to pan out 66 at 20? He is an offensive defenseman with really good passing, but by the time he develops, the series might be done already. I don't really give a shit, to be honest. Get rid of him. Boom. Take it. Thank you. So we could have probably got more in return, but I don't really care, to be honest. That guy's not going to pan out. We get rid of Komatov, though, and Popov, so we got to salute those two guys. Thank you for your time here. Scrivens comes to New York, and I honestly don't know if he's going to be good or not, but I think that's what we needed to do. We are going to go to free agency as well while we're at it. And we're going to bring in, obviously, Solovyov so he could retire as a New York Islander. And that way he could be the backup behind Nicholas for this last year, or the last few years potentially. He might honestly retire at the end of the season or be even worse than an 82, but I think bringing him back would be good for this organization. Obviously, he's a liked player on this team too. So, is there anything else we need, though, in terms of players? Because I know we have not a lot of cap space. We'd be down to $16 million after we sign Solovyov, and we do have still RFAs that need to be signed, including Holmstrom, Lindsay, Nicholas, and Dempsey. So, I don't think we really have the cap space to be looking into other free agents right now. We could come back to this once we get the RFAs signed, but we might have to go with a little bit of a weak center depth after Ashton. But I think it's an okay thing for now. So, is there any staff we need to bring in this offseason? I don't feel like there is. Let's see. Oh, yeah, there actually is. So, we need an associate coach in the NHL. I don't really care too much about the AHL coaches at this point. Crosby could just do whatever he wants down there. But let's find an associate coach for our team. Is there anybody with a really good team fit, potentially? 64, 54... 66. Philip Kindle. Well, Philip Kindle, you're going to be the guy, I guess, at 66. You're going to be our associate coach, I said? Or, yeah, our associate. Okay, just had to make sure it wasn't the assistant, because sometimes I get those confused for no reason. We will bring in Kindle as the associate coach, and then hopefully that helps out our coaching staff being a little bit stronger. We do need maybe a goalie coach in the AHL, actually, so those goalies can get some more growth. So let's also find the AHL goalie coach while we're at it. Somebody with good teaching grade like this Wojtek Svoboda. So bring you in as the AHL goalie coach. And that should be good to go. Perfect. All right, so coaches are dealt with. We don't really care too much about bringing in replacement scouts at this point, honestly. I think we're pretty much ready to advance a few days and see if Solovyov will return here, and then we'll see if the RFAs start accepting. Hopefully none of them get qualified, because that'd be the worst case scenario, because I don't want to overpay on them. So let's advance and see if we get Solovyov back. Hopefully we do. Kindle's on board as the associate coach. Thank you, Kindle. And we do get Svoboda in as the AHL goalie coach, which is exciting. All right, so Solovyov has decided to come back. He says, "Thank you for your interest. I hope we have a long and happy relationship." Well, we did when you were here before, but obviously we just didn't find ways to win the Stanley Cup. So maybe having you behind our new young goaltender Nicholas, maybe that could be a good thing. All right, so we get our goalie we wanted. Let's begin the sim up to the end of July and see if any RFAs start accepting. I feel like Dempsey probably will accept soon. But the other guys are probably going to be holdouts for a little bit, so we're going to just decline this trade offer. Don't need to make a deal like that. What else we got here? Second and medium seventh Crane, so bad defensive prospect for a third and a sixth. I'm not trying to move back in the draft really anymore. Dallas is willing to give up a defenseman to us with a third rounder. We don't really care too much because we're trying to get Lindsay signed. Damn, a lot of these teams are offering me trades. Toronto would be willing just to give me a third and a fourth for two defensive prospects that aren't going to really develop, but I'm just going to say no to that at this point. No, thank you. Don't need Bergeron and Esposito. Okay, I need to really edit my trading block because I'm just kind of annoyed about these trade offers right now. Let's just remove all these young guys and also just remove all this stuff too because I just don't need any offers right now. We could readjust this at the start of the season if we really want to, but it's just kind of annoying when you get thrown a bunch of off-season trades and you don't really feel like making trades. So we're just going to remove everything from both these lists. So we get no more offers this offseason because I don't think there's anybody else I really want to part ways with yet. Like I said, Lindsay is definitely a guy we could part ways with maybe because he might be not happy with his ice time. But I'm glad that we are able to at least bring in somebody that could be maybe a good goal scorer for our top six this offseason. Obviously, he's not on a huge cap hit either, so it kind of makes it a little bit better. All right, has any of our RFAs came down astronomically in cost? Let's see. We could obviously maybe sign some more free agents or trade for more players if we want to, but I think just getting these RFAs signed is the number one thing we got to do. So we got $17.74 million of cap space. Holmstrom, Lindsay, Dempsey, and Nicholas. How much is Holmstrom wanting now? Still a 3-year deal at 11.8. I might be willing to... He does have the organizational interest now. I do want Holmstrom kind of back on a long-term deal. We might be able to get him on a 3-year deal now at like 10.4. Trying to think if it's worth it. If we signed him to that, though, we'd be down to $7 million in cap space with the rest of those guys being RFAs, so we probably can't really afford to actually give him what he's asking for right now still. Lindsay's trying to get $6 million right now, which is an astronomical price. Dempsey is still trying to get $2 million, but we could definitely talk him down to like, well, not that much, I guess. Talk him down to like 19.25. What is Nicholas wanting at this point? Let's see. 4.625. Okay, but all these guys should be starting to accept soon. Nicholas might be the first to accept, potentially. Him and Dempsey. But those other two are still looking for a lot of money. So we'll continue to get through the rest of this offseason and see if anybody actually accepts before the start of the preseason. But I will definitely be getting everybody back, but probably at hopefully some good reduced price points. Because like I said, I don't really want to overpay on them. And oh my goodness. Oh, well, that's an interesting one. The Blackhawks are overpaying on Nicholas, so maybe we should have just gave Nicholas a contract when I was last looking, because now we're going to have to completely overpay on Nicholas. Oh man, that's a tough one to pass up on. They'd be willing to qualify him at a $10.84 million contract for 5 years, and it would give us a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and a third-round pick, which is nice compensation. But yeah, this is definitely one of those contracts that potentially hurt us in the contract situation. Like, very much so. Oh man, I wish there was no offers for him. We're going to probably have to match that offer, to be honest. I don't... Let me go remind me in 6 days, and let me stop the sim, because I do not want to go past those 6 days. Oh my goodness. Well, actually, it would pop up again, I guess. But, damn it, man. $10 million. That's going to knock us down to $7 million to re-sign these 3 guys. I don't know if I'd be able to afford those that much afterwards. We might have to make a trade after matching that Nicholas deal. We just might have to. But who's the one that would get part ways with? I'm trying to think here. Stromboli could make our defensive core potential next season. Oh my god. I mean, Smith is pretty close to being an NHL actual defenseman. We could already try and play that guy next year if we really need to. Oh boy. Well, I think we're going to have to accept that deal, but we're going to have to find a way to free up some cap space after that. How good were the Blackhawks even last year, though, to be honest? Can I even take a look at that still? Like, can I go to Stats Central and see how good Chicago was last year? Yeah, I can. Because, was Chicago like a low-end team? I don't think so, right? No, they were. So they'd be willing to give me their first rounder for the upcoming season to bring in Nicholas. But with Nicholas, you'd think they'd be a much better team. They did have goal-scoring trouble last season, but I think we have to match this offer as much as it hurts us cap-wise. Because I don't really think running Solovyov again and some other random goaltender would work out well. I don't really like paying goalies almost $11 million, though, but I think we're going to have to match that offer, as annoying as it is. Hopefully, the contract doesn't involve any clauses, but we might have to make some really tough decisions in the next few years because of this contract. But yeah, I think we're going to have to match that Nicholas deal, unfortunately. So let's continue to simulate. Actually, is there any good free agent goalies right now, just in case if I wanted to accept that? Just Kudobin, who used to play with us. I don't think I really want to run our 2 old goalies anymore. Yeah, I think I have to match it. If I didn't trade away not Solovyov, trade away Komatov in this episode, hey, maybe that's something I would have taken, because Komatov could have been our starter. We could have run Solovyov as the backup, but I did not think some team was going to actually be bold enough to give up their first round pick to get Nicholas. Oh man, that sucks. But yeah, we're going to have to accept it. And like I said, we might have to make some moves after that. So yeah, we're going to match the offer. It is a decent offer, especially coming from a team that's that low, but Nicholas has been overpaid quite a bit. And let's just continue to simulate to see if any other RFAs are going to accept beforehand. I know Holmstrom obviously needs to be still signed, and he's going to be pricey. I really hope we have the cap space to get them all back, because if not, like I said, I might have to make some more moves. So Nicholas is signed, which is good, but also not the greatest. We have $8 million in cap space. Nicholas's contract now with him signed is looking like this. And yeah, there is no clause, which is good, because that means he's still tradable, at least, during that 5 years. If we need to trade him, that is. But $8 million in cap space to sign these 3 guys. I don't think it's enough. Because Holmstrom alone, the lowest I think we could maybe get him to for a year is like 6.35. Let me actually do some math here while we're at this. Oh, man. This is quite the episode in terms of trying to maintain this roster. So, like I said, we have only $8 million in cap space. And we actually get that typed up here. And 6.325 would take up most of that cap space. After we had signed Holmstrom, if we got him on this one-year deal, I think he's the most important player to re-sign, would knock us down to $1.7 million. $1.7 million, which obviously Lindsay is going to cost us more than that. He does have organizational interest, but the lowest we could get him to is going to be just over $3 million, like 30-50. Let me see how much money we need to free up. So $3 million. And Dempsey, right now, the lowest we could probably get him for is pretty cheap. Actually, maybe not pretty cheap, I should say. But, like, probably you're looking at, like, $13.50. So, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we need to free up $2.7 million in cap space to get all 3 of these guys signed up to what they're asking for. If we wanted to free up $2.7 million in cap space, who is making money that we could part ways with? So, we did just sign Solovyov. Maybe that was not a great idea. Maybe we could have got him for less later on. But Solovyov's making $2 million. Who's making a lot of money? Carlton's making 6.85, but he's kind of important. Savage is on a cheap contract. Like, we don't have anybody super pricey on defense. Forwards, is there anybody that would be worth moving? Scrivens we just brought in via trade, but he's not a hugely expensive player. Like I said, he could probably play in our top 6 this season. Trotter's on an ELC. And then centers. Honestly, there's not really anybody we'd be able to part ways with unless we parted ways with both these 4th line guys, or bottom 6 guys. Yeah, it would have to be Winchester and Russell that would have to both go, basically, in order to sign all 3 of those guys. And then we'd be still down 2 centers on this team. Because then we'd have to promote Esch and Hall, which is not very good. I think the only thing we can do is trade away one of those RFAs. Or let them hold out and see if they're drop their asking price even more. So, I think I'm going to sign Holmstrom and Dempsey to what they're asking for. Lindsay, I'm going to wait a little bit into the season, see if I can get them signed. So, yeah, Holmstrom's important to get back. We need to get him back. So, I'm going to just drop this down and see if I can get him back. He's definitely the most important RFA here, so let's just give him 6.3. And I'd be willing to give Dempsey what he's asking for as well. But, yeah, we might be in a little bit of a cap crisis here. Just because of bringing back Nicholas. But I think we kind of had to. We had no other decision, really. If I had Komatov still, I could have been better than that, but oh well. So Dempsey and Holmstrom, hopefully they accept, and then we have to think about freeing up cap space or just trading away Lindsay's rights and just letting Strombolopoulos and Savage play on that top 6 pairing. We have not a lot of right-handed D-men. We could always play Smith in the NHL as a 75. I'm up for that, maybe. But, yeah. Our cap situation really sucks, man. It really does. Let's begin the sim up to next season. See if these guys accept, which Dempsey's on board. And Holmstrom's also on board. That's good to see. Let me stop the sim now. And let's go back to our contracts. How much money we got? Hey, we actually have $2.425 million. Is that enough money to re-sign Lindsay? It is not. He's asking for 3.375. Goddamn. So yeah, we basically are needing still another or not even $1 million. We're not even needing that much. Maybe we can free up the cap space to get him back for the year. So he wants 3.375. Oh man, I just hit one of my shortcuts. I did not mean to do that. I completely forgot that the number 2 was a shortcut. 2425. Let's see. Actually, wait, what am I doing here? Now that caught me off guard. Okay, anyways, 3.375 minus. Actually, no, I wanted 2.425 minus that. That's what I wanted to do. So I could kind of see how much money we need to free up exactly to get him back. We need to free up 950K. That's not too bad. But is there anybody that is making 950K I could part ways with? It can't be a two-way contract either. So, Savage, I think, is on a two-way still, right? That's the ELC, right? Let me check. Yeah, that's the ELC. Strombolopoulos is on a two-way. Dempsey's only making that 1.35. Would prefer to hold on to him, maybe. I mean, we might not need Dempsey, but it's hard to say. Hilbert on 1.9 would free up the cap space. We also do have an abundance of left wingers. It could be Hilbert's time to move on because Trotter could replace him. Yeah, that might be the play. Let me look at how much forwards we got here going into the season. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13 with Derache, 14 with Terry. I could use both these guys as depth options. Hilbert, I think, is the guy to move out from so we could re-sign Lindsay. Which is an interesting one because I do like Hilbert. He was a decent bottom 6 guy for that first season of his, but I think we got to part ways with him. He's also listed as a third line checking forward and he'd be playing fourth line minutes. So let's trade away Hilbert, free up the cap space. We'll sign Lindsay. And we'll be pretty much right up against the cap, I think. We might be at $1 million free of cap, but because I said we only needed like 900 something freed up. But let's see if we could find somebody that would take on Hilbert. He doesn't have a lot of value, though. No trades found on an open block, but we are going to still trade him. There's going to be a team that would be willing to give up like a 7th rounder or something to me easily. He's a solid enough fourth line guy. There's teams that are going to need that depth for the playoffs. It sucks, like I said, to move on from him already, but he's probably the best bet with that log jam on the left side, especially with Trotter probably playing. So Boston would be willing to do that deal. I want to probably send him to the West just to make it a little bit easier. So let's send him to Colorado. And what would they give us? Probably a 7th rounder would work. So Hilbert for a 7th rounder straight up. And that's accepted. So maybe we could have got higher for that, but Hilbert's on his way to Colorado. We free up that cap space. I know some people are losing morale, but that will give us enough money to now go ahead and sign Lindsay likely for this upcoming season. We are going to be very, very close to the cap floor, though, which is actually insane. I don't think I've ever been this close to the cap floor before. But let's sign Lindsay and see if he accepts that money. And then we should have our team intact and ready for the season. It's good we have a lot of guys on ELCs and all that. There you go. I've spent some time mulling over your qualifying offer. I think another year with this franchise is just what I need, so I'm happy to accept. Perfect. All right, so Lindsay's back on board, and we only have $925,000 in cap space. And Holmstrom's an RFA again at the end of the year. We might have to start thinking about moving on from some of the big contracts at some point. There's a lot of big UFAs coming up, though, too. But this is an important year. If we do not win the Stanley Cup, this team's never going to be the same again, I think. $925,000. I mean, that's pretty tidy work. But was it worth it? We'll find out, I guess, in a few episodes. But let's get this lineup set up. And then we'll simulate a little bit of the season, probably. Not too much of it. We'll probably simulate, like, I don't know how much. Maybe a couple weeks. We'll see. But let's get this lineup set up and see what we're working with. Oh man, did we make the right call with some of those trades? I don't know. But we have Nicholas and Solovyov in between the pipes. Solovyov is an 80 overall now. So pretty low end backup goaltender. But I mean, it is better than having probably 2 starting goalies. Aside from that, AHL will be probably Irwin and Bergenheim because Barkov only has medium fringe starter potential. Defensively, Schaefer, Holmstrom, Houghton, Carlton, Lindsay, and Savage. We do need a depth defenseman up here. So we'll probably use Strombolopoulos as that guy. Just because he's not going to get much better probably. So that would be our defensive core, which is actually still pretty good, but there's a lack of right-handed defensemen probably on this team. We head to the forward side of things, Lehman and Dempsey. House is pretty much ready to be a depth forward, but he's only 22. We could probably wait a year on him or maybe later in the season. Aside from that, Ragnarsson, Crane, Scrivens, Kazanov, Trotter, Terry, Ramjit Singh, and DeRoche. Damn. A lot of these guys are making that jump. See, that's why we got rid of Hilbert. A lot of left wingers. And Markstrom in the AHL's fine. Centers, Mackinnon, Ashton, Winchester, and Russell. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, let's go best lines and get this set up. And hopefully there's nobody super important that gets scratched. But we'll go Crane, Mackinnon, and Lehman. We'll go Ragnarsson on the second line with Ashton, Kazanov. Actually, Scrivens will be higher than Kazanov, I think, again. Yeah, we'll do that. And we'll go with Kazanov playing with Dempsey and Winchester. Actually, I want Trotter kind of higher in the lineup, too. He's a third-line scoring forward as a sniper. Oh, man, we might have too many goal scorers. Like, maybe I should have moved on from Dempsey, too. Don't know which one would be better. Let's see. Trotter can win faceoffs maybe a little bit. Same with Dempsey. So maybe we'll move Winchester to the scratched list. He's actually a scoring forward too. But let's go with something like this. And then that fourth line should be okay. Except for I don't know about Winchester being in the lineup. Ramjit Singh is a depth forward. He's 25 years old. I think that's fine. We could throw him in the lineup, though. DeRoche is a depth forward. He's 25 as well. These guys are fringe NHLers. Strombolopoulos is already 23. He's a depth D. I think that's fine. From a defensive standpoint, Schaefer, Holmstrom, Houghton, Carlson, Lindsay, and Savage. It would be nice to keep Houghton as that top defenseman. So Holmstrom probably gets still second pairing. I don't mind that defensive core, to be honest. I don't mind it. Okay. And then goalies, Nicholas and Solovyov. Yeah, I think this team actually looks not too bad for being right up against the cap. Obviously, it's not as strong as it was at one point, but still. And in AHL, let's just make sure nobody important is scratched. We want Bergenheim to be plain, so we'll take Barkov out. That way we have both elite goalie prospects in the AHL starting. But yeah, the Nicholas contract really strapped us against the cap, but I think this team is still good. Crane still has elite potential, surprisingly, so he's not going to necessarily retire this season, which is good. Mackinnon has dropped off, though, to exact top 6 at 32, which means he might be retiring faster than we expect or dropping faster than we expect. And then we also have Houghton, who has exact top 6 D. This might be his last season in the NHL. It might be, which would free us up cap space, which is good, but damn, that's not good. That's not good. So it might be the last season for Houghton. And then also it could be the last season in a few years for Mackinnon, which is not good. All right, well, our lineup is set up, which is good to see. Let's get into simulating a little bit of the season. Like I said, not too much, but just enough to kind of see what this team is like this season. Because we had to make a lot of tough decisions this offseason, more than I expected. Because if that qualifying offer never happened for Nicholas, if we were smarter with the contracts, we would have probably got him for way less. So Jalen Jenks, our coach, what does he think about our roster? We got to first get our preseason done with. Let's go with some conditioning because we're a bit of an older team. And season goal, he says that we're good enough to compete for the cup again. So maybe this team could actually make it back to the Stanley Cup Finals for a third straight year. But is it good enough to win a Stanley Cup? Tough to say. This is definitely the most strapped we've been against the cap, so. But it's definitely not the best team we've ever had going into the playoffs. All right, so let's go through the preseason, then we might go through the rest of October. And we might go through a little bit, or maybe all of November. So we may even go up to December the 1st in this episode. We'll see. Not having a great preseason so far, but that might make it good for our regular season. Yeah, we literally have a 1-5 record in the preseason. We're definitely not going to be that bad during the regular season. I could tell you that. We should be pretty solid. All right, so 3-2 loss, and we finished 1-6 in the preseason. So that's definitely our worst preseason in quite a long time. But like I said, I think in the regular season it'll be definitely much, much better than that. Because there's no way our team has that bad of a scheme fit and all that. So let's go to simulate to regular season, and we'll take a look at our coaching staff again and see how good of a team fit we have this year. I feel like we're still above 70% probably. But we've definitely made a lot of changes over the years. 66 only now with Jalen. That's not as much as I was expecting. Huh. He used to be over 70 at one point, but this roster has changed a lot on paper. So maybe we have to start scheme fitting some players again? I'm not too sure. Alright. So let's get a couple months of sim done. See what this team's able to do in those first 2 months. And we'll take a look at some stats and see if there's anything that we might need to look into addressing already this season. But we probably don't have the room to really make any moves this year unless we trade away somebody with a huge cap hit, basically. Like if for some reason Solovyov's outperforming Nicholas, maybe we decide to move on from Nicholas and find a lower end starter and bring back Komatov or something like that. I honestly don't even know. But let's go to the end of October, see if our team could do better in the regular season than it did in the preseason. Starting off the season with a 6-5 shootout loss. But then we respond with a 6-2 win over Detroit, so 2 good offensive games in a row. We beat St. Louis, we beat Pittsburgh. San Jose, we lose in regulation 2-1, but good defensive game. Buffalo's a 5-1 win, and Tampa is a 6-2 win. So 5-1-1 off this to start off the season. That's good. That's good to see. I didn't look at our special teams lines to see who's on them, but hopefully they're off to a good start. If not, we can make adjustments next episode. But definitely simulating better in this regular season than we were in the preseason, which I expected. Let's go to November 30th, and then we'll stop simulating for this episode. We beat Dallas 6-3 there. Detroit coming up as there's a trade offer. We don't need to make any trades right now. We don't have the cap space really to make any trades, I don't think. We shut out Detroit 3-0. We beat Toronto 6-2. Columbus 5-2 win. Yeah, our team is pretty much on cruise control. I expected our team to be good this year, but at this pace, we could end up being maybe a President's Trophy winner, which means we're probably going to be a first-round exit this year. Just be a heads up on that. Because we've been absolute dominant so far in these first 20 or so games. God damn. There's another loss, though. There's a win over Toronto. So basically, at December the 1st, we are 15-3-3, which is fantastic. That might be one of the best starts we've had in quite some time, but is it going to make it harder for us to win the Stanley Cup if we actually have a really good regular season sim as well? All right, let's take a look at some stats, see where everything's going. Actually, what about the team stats here so far? I didn't take a look at that, really. So we're 4th in goals for right now. We are 4.05 goals for per game. We are 1st in goals against per game, 7th on the power play, and 17th on the penalty kills. So aside from the penalty kill, everything seems to be simulating quite well at this point in time. In terms of player stats, let's sort this by forwards and defense, I guess, instead of each position. But Crane's leading the way. Despite being 34 years old, he's got 24 points in 21 games. So big year so far for Crane. Already 13 goals. We have Ragnarsson on 23 points as well, plus 19. Mackin's off to a good start. Looks like in general our depth scoring is good. And then Scrivens has come in and done an okay job. Only 9 goals, but 16 points. He does seem to be working well in that top 6 right now. Dempsey on 15 points. Already 10 goals for Dempsey. That's really nice. Kazanov on 13 points is pretty solid. He is battling an injury right now. And he's okay with his ice time, it seems like, which is good. Winchester on 11 points has been doing pretty damn good for the lack of ice time that this guy gets. Yeah, only 9.22 a game, but he's basically a point every other game. Lehman's only got 11 points, though, which is kind of concerning if Winchester's doing just as good as him. And Lehman's making 8.6 million. Goddamn. Russell's been good as well, so the fourth line's doing decent. Trotter's got 8 points so far. Only 2 goals, but he's been okay. Terry on 5 points, plus 6. Not too bad for the youngsters. From a defensive standpoint, Schaefer's on 17 points to lead the defensive core. We also have Houghton on 15 assists, Holmstrom on 14 points, Carlton on 10, Savage on 6, and Lindsay on 1. So Lindsay's not picking up a ton of points, and he's not liking his ice time, which means we might have to find a way to get him onto a penalty kill first unit or a power play first unit or second unit. But right now, the top 3 defenders are all playing really good. Actually, Carlton, even for that matter, is doing really good. So we're getting a lot of offense from the back end. So we could probably still maybe think about trading Lindsay for just a normal top 6 D-man if we want to. And that would free us up cap space. Goaltending-wise, Nicholas has a .934 save percentage up to this point, and Solovyov has came back here and done really well, a .925 for him through 4 games. So our goaltending has been absolutely fantastic here in the early going. Both goalies have an assist as well. So Solovyov's only played 4 games, but he's got a point, which is pretty sick. So yeah, stuff is looking good right now. I mean, if we go to entire league for stats right now, I know it's early in the season, but I mean, we do have not necessarily the best player in the league, but Crane is doing relatively good. He's a top 10 goal scorer. Sanders, who I was looking into, is also up there, so of course he is, but best goal scorer right now is Garma, 23 goals in 19 games. Damn. And then defensively, a lot of our defenders should be up there, but there is this guy in Vegas right now leading the way. Goalies, looks like Flores off to a really good start too this year. But yeah, Nicholas right now might be a Vezina favorite at the end of the season if he continues to play like this. So that's pretty impressive. And then rookies, Weston Hopkins so far. All right. So not too bad. Not too bad. I don't think there's going to be any moves that we make in next episode. It's probably going to be the trade deadline if we do make any moves. But it seems like the moves we made in the offseason have worked out well. Even re-signing Nicholas, I think, has been working out well because he might be a Vezina favorite at the end of the season. So as long as we play like this the rest of the season, it should be good. But also a bit scared that, like, if we do make the playoffs with a really good record, are we just going to be a first-round exit after all these league playoff runs we've had before this? Which would really suck considering this is one of the last seasons of this franchise mode. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of New York Islanders franchise mode. So in next episode, we will continue to simulate more of the season. We'll probably go up to the trade deadline, see if this team's able to continue its ridiculous pace it's on right now. Because being 15-3-3, I'm pretty sure this might be one of the best starts to the seasons we've had so far at this point. And hopefully this team continues to do good, because maybe we don't need to make any adjustments with the limited cap space we have. So this thing down below, and I'll see you guys next time.